Legend of Total War here, and today we've got a Saving Your Disaster battle playing as Yvres going up against the Vanaheimlings, the Norskens. So, we're defending Tor Corelli, they're attacking the settlement, we do have walls, and we've got a full stack, mostly of, well, almost a full stack, almost of archers, garrison inside the settlement, and a smaller, just a small garrison. They have two almost identical armies, really, just loads of melee infantry. Now, for the AI, loads of melee infantry can be quite advantageous, especially during a siege. And so I can understand why this guy had a hard time with this. So in the email, he basically said that he just had a hard time managing everything. And basically just wants to see how I can do it. Okay, so there's a number of ways you can go about this. This is not one of those sort of hopeless battles that you only have one option. There's loads of different ways you can win this. And I thought that this would be a good battle to showcase various different ways to play based on different play styles. Now, you don't have to do anything that I say, but this is just information for you. Take it as you see fit. So, the first thing I do in this situation here is basically look at the reinforcements. Their reinforcements is vastly stronger than ours, and under normal circumstances, I would not control a large army. What that would do is slow down the pace of the battle, allow us to annihilate this army, because we would easily be able to beat that if it was just that one, even though our reinforcements won't show up. And then as their reinforcements come in, they sort of stagger in, which is really good for archer-based armies for us. So that would be the easiest way to deal with it. But this battle is not so difficult that we wouldn't be able to do it with control large armies. Have all of their army attack us all at once. Because I understand that a lot of people don't want to do control large army. They consider it cheating, even though it's not. But that's entirely up to you. Like I said, play to your personal playstyle. So I'm going to do it with this, and I'm going to show you how to be able to manage a larger scale battle and still win it, with hopefully minimal casualties. We'll see how we go.
The winds of magic.
So I just want to point out that I know I technically should not control a large army, okay? This is one of the rare occasions where I'm just going to show you how to do this. If you know, because yeah, some people just flat out don't want to do it. They'd rather take a defeat, and that's fine. Quite frankly, I'm quite happy for you to take a defeat, but I'll just show you how to do this anyway. And I'll explain again, because I've explained a few times, why walls are worthless. Totally worthless, especially with high elves. Okay, so let me just reorganize this real quick. I don't like control groups. I just don't like using them. Unless it's a particularly micro-intensive battle, which this won't be. So, I'm not putting them in. I just prefer it to just be organized. Alright, so firstly, just going to layer up my archers here. Everybody's going to be on guard mode, including you. Okay. And we'll organize it from here. So, walls. Why don't you want to hold the walls? This is like a big problem with Total War Warhammer. A huge oversight from CA, and that was just part of the problem with Warhammer 1 that just haven't really been overcome yet. There is actually no advantage to holding the walls for the defender. You don't get any melee buffs, or the enemy. The only debuffs that the enemy get is if they use the ladders, they get tired. But here's the thing. Because of the way that fatigue works in this game, units that are in melee get tired really, really quickly. So if a unit on a ladder climbs up on the wall and starts fighting somebody, you know, the person on the wall will have an advantage for a very short time, because they'll get exhausted super quickly, and then they'll just be at the same level. Because once the unit is exhausted, there is no lower level of exhaustion after that. So it doesn't make that big of a difference. In addition to that, since the enemy that we have here is almost entirely melee focused, their melee units is way better than ours. So even if they were to attack us while exhausted, they would still beat our spearmen, our archers, whatever. So you gotta understand how battles work. A battle is not just win or lose. A battle is a series of micro victories and defeats. You want to make sure that you win every engagement that you can and deny the enemy any victories that they can get. Anytime that they are winning in melee, that's a victory for them, so you have to deny them. Now you might think, what about the towers? The towers are the advantage for the defender. Sometimes yes, but you also have to understand that these towers here are not very powerful, they're all not very accurate, and the amount of damage that they're going to dish out is not going to be very valuable, especially once the enemy actually arrive here, because they'll capture the tower and then that's it. So you're not going to be able to utilize that for very long. Now, you can get the usage of the towers without actually holding onto the walls by doing this. Just having one unit spread out across multiple towers, across the wall. And what you simply do is when they start to get close, pull them off the wall, because you are never going to be able to hold it. Okay, if you can't win, don't try to win. Okay, because we won't. Because another thing as well, you might think, why not put archers up here to shoot up at the wall? Well, the short of it is that it's too obstructed. They will shoot their own troops, and they'll just hit sections of the wall. You will waste most of your ammunition. You just won't do any real damage. So it's just not worth it. Where the archers are going to be firing best is at a straight plane, even eyesight level firing line. Archers do not fire well from high angle or low angles in this game. The best way to have an archer shoot is just directly straight ahead, because they're just really, really bad at dealing with altitude. Really bad at it. So you want to basically just make it as level as possible, which is over here. So what we want to do now, this is where the real fight's going to be, is start setting up choke points. Now they do have magic, so we don't want to blob up, but we want to create some gaps there, and have our low quality melee units that are high melee defense basically just keep the enemy at bay. But while they're fighting, we've got clean shots into the enemy's flanks. That's how we're going to deal with it. Now, another thing to consider is you have to understand how the combat works in this game. Why are melee units inferior to archers? This is the big crux of it, right? Archers, every single archer can fire at the same time, whereas with a melee infantry unit, only those that are actually in melee will fight. So for example, if an enemy unit came over here to attack, only these guys here are fighting. So they're the only ones applying any damage. These ones over here are doing nothing. So while, 20 of their units are fighting, they're doing technically more damage per man than an archer. But you've got, 90 to 70% of the unit just doing nothing because they just can't get close enough. Whereas these guys here, they're just going to keep shooting. Unless you're obstructed, which we shouldn't be, we'll be dishing out more damage. And that's the big advantage of archers over melee infantry. Alright, so now let's go into it. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight over if you're going to defend the settlement, why archers are so important, and why races that don't get archers in their garrisons are so fucking awful at defending their settlements, such as vampire counts, greenskins. Greenskins will sometimes get archers, but just not very good ones. Artillery is also pretty helpful for siege defenses, but it depends on what kind of artillery. So for example, Empire cannons, very, very difficult to use them because line of sight issues, whereas mortars are like a godsend for defensive sieges, because you can just lob it straight over your infantry. Anyway, let's do this. So our army is stronger than theirs initially, but they're going to be bringing in forces. Now we need to have our towers here make sure that they shoot infantry units, not siege equipment, because it is absolutely pointless to damage a siege tower 90%. It's not going to be of any value to us. So what we want to do is just try to bypass that. They're trying to protect their units behind the towers, but you just go for the ones on the side. Bring you up here, maybe cast some spells. We've got a good amount of magic. Don't have very good spells, but we got to keep casting. So yeah, you'll notice that the towers, they're doing a little bit of damage, but it's nothing to be like, ooh, wow, we really need to hold on to this for dear life. Now, there are some exceptions. For example, Skaven. Skaven absolutely need to hold the walls because their garrisons are, like, awful. Absolutely awful. But it's their techniques and the bullshit that they can pull during their battles, like Warp Bomb and, if you've got Tier 5 towers, the Doom Rockets, or sorry, Rattling Missiles, they do monstrous amounts of damage and they're very accurate. So yeah. Get that one off the wall. See, this guy's going to come in. He's going to be not tired at all. It's just not worth that engagement. And the thing is, they'll just capture the tower straight away. So you might think, yeah, but the tower's still shooting. It's not worth throwing 4 units in there to try and protect the tower for 5 seconds. Not unless you're playing on like small unit scale, in which case, you know, I really don't try to advise people on that unit scale. The game's balanced differently on different scales. So I left this one up here a bit too long, but we'll, for the most part, get him off. Definitely going to want to get rid of those magic users as fast as possible. Come on, get over here. How are we going? Bit of damage. It's alright. We probably should have taken them off a little bit earlier. But it's okay. Alright, now that metal wizard, that one really needs to go. So what I want to do is move some archers up here a bit. Now in terms of defensibility of this settlement, I'd probably rate it about 5 out of 10. It's not the worst. It's by far not the best. Now, when dealing with single entity units like this, we don't want to be shooting at them at long range. Once they get into close range, we're actually going to be really accurate against them. So that's why I want to bring them up, so we can just shoot into him, because I don't think he's going to want to engage in melee. This one here is not going to do anything. Actually, I might concentrate on killing their general here. Let this guy draw him in a little bit closer, and then we'll pin him down. Now, this obviously isn't for every faction, but just everyone shoot at him.
Spearman, quickly now.
We might capture him, we might not, but whatever the case, come on, just a few more seconds. Yeah, we got him. Cool, cool, cool.
Archers, for the king. Defend in order. We go. As you say.
Just make sure, all we got to be doing is making sure that we've got clear line of sights as much as possible. Shoot into their flank there, that's good. Should have plenty of ammo to deal with them. Yeah, we definitely want to get rid of this metal wizard. He's pissing me off. Skin wolves, make sure we shoot them.
We advance. We away. It will be done. Attack! Attack! Without question. We will obey.
We're a little bit cramped in here. This is where not controlling a large battle would have been a lot better, because I'm really feeling cramped. They're in guard mode. They shouldn't be moving from their position.
Following orders. Warrior! As you say, it will be done.
Okay. Wouldn't worry about too much about constantly using magic, because it just isn't an amazing spell unless they really blob up a lot with like lightly armored units.
Without fail.
So yeah, at the end of this battle, you'll notice one big difference between the spearmen and the archers. The archers will have gotten all the kills, and the spearmen will get next to none.
Archers.
Their job is just to hold them at bay, while the archers do all the killing.
You're a bear.
Weaver of the winds.
Good, we got good kill zones over here. It's working.
Order. Enemy fell.
Are they overcasting that? Yeah, they are. So there's a chance that they're miscasting. Biggest concern at the moment is just running low on ammo, but we seem to be okay. Let's move this guy a bit more over this way, just so we're shooting them more on the flank. Problem is, every time you pull back while you're in combat, the guys that are at the front are basically doomed. They're gonna die, but that's okay. If it can save us ammo, it's worth it.
Spearman.
Loyal. High mage ready. I summon the winds.
The winds are rising.
We go, as you say.
Acknowledged.
Very cramped over here.
For duty. Advance. Throw back. Loyal. For duty. We will obey.
And you want to be aiming for their damage dealers first. So the Marauder Berserkers should actually be taken priority over Marauder Champions, because we'll do more damage to them and they'll do more damage to us quickly. Whereas Marauder Champions, they take longer to kill, and they're not quite as fast at killing because they don't have a bonus versus infantry. They're just all round a bit tougher.
Vassal archmage. Magic's unleashed.
Could use this, but it's not really going to make a big difference.
Acknowledged.
Okay, maybe let's try and shoot this wizard.
Move.
For duty.
Problem is, when they're moving around like this, they're not the best at dodging, but they can try to dodge a little bit.
Archers. Ancestors.
Asturian sends me.
For all
Yeah, don't shoot at that one, shoot over here.
Bring death.
Bouncer power's moving in our favor now.
spearmen. Steel.
Just make sure everyone's firing that can. Alright, the ones that are out of ammo, just move them over here. Just out of the way.
Setting forth. Orders received. Loyal. Orders received. Forward. Asser, advance.
Had I be praised. You refer.
Orders received.
It shall be done.
Alright, so far so good, I think.
Draw back.
Witness true magic.
So yeah, we're probably going to get a close victory, or maybe even a Pyrrhic victory here.
As you say.
It definitely would have got better if we didn't control a large army, for sure.
Archers. Death to all.
The winds flow through me.
Orders understood. Archers. Onward.
Can't send archers to go and lock them down, but
It will be done.
I don't think we need to yet. We've still got spearmen. Wait until the spearmen are spent.
Vassal archmage.
And there we go, there's the army losses.
See my path. Behold my power.
Now we don't have any archers, so running them... Sorry, we don't have any cavalry, so running them down is not really going to be viable. Oh, but I tell you what, it would be good to kill
Lawful.
some of their heroes.
For the king. Quickly now. Onward. Battle calls.
Magical power.
Even if we end up getting some friendly fire here, it'd be worth it to kill him.
Spearmen. Yes. As you say. Advance.
For the white tower.
Because the last thing you want is their wizards getting high leveled. Because even when they lose battles, they'll still gain experience. If they start getting things like Purple Son of Xerius, while that's not the best spell in the game by a long shot, it's still better than, say, Spirit Leech. Spirit Leech is no threat. I think the Fire Wizard got away. Yeah, it's pretty much expected if you use up most of your ammo, you're going to get a close victory, even if you don't take many casualties, even though we kind of did. But it doesn't look like any of your units got wiped out, and their armies are both pretty much destroyed. So it'd be very easy to pursue them and finish them off next turn. Because really, the damage dealing aspect of our army didn't take much damage at all. So you can see, was it worth holding the walls? Absolutely not. And like I said, this isn't even like a good defensive settlement. Imagine what it would be like in a good one, where there's only like 3 choke points. So yeah, the Fire Wizard got away, but the Death Wizard and the Metal Wizard got done, and we've captured a Lord for you.
Lives for coin.
Yeah, should be fine for doing that. Don't really need high replenishment rate for those Spearmen, you can always just recruit new ones. And let's have a look at how the rest of the campaign is going for you. Alright, so it's turn 51. You're doing okay. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not seeing any major problems here. And, yep, there's the dude there. Have you done this? Yeah, you need to do that sort of first. Well, I guess you don't have to. I'm just, I guess, speaking in terms of the Blitz. But look, you can do that yourself. That'll be fine. But anyway, that's how you sort of like non-cheese defend a settlement. It would have gone a lot better to deny the enemy reinforcements. We would have taken fewer casualties. It probably still would have meant a close victory, just because no matter what, we're going to use up ammo. But we would have taken less damage on these guys. It would have also allowed us to utilize the garrison a lot more, let them take the damage rather than the army, because the garrison there might not see another battle for a long time, but these guys here are probably going to see quite a few battles, considering you're at war with Krace as well. But anyway, that's the end of this one. Hope you guys learnt something. Hopefully that helps you in your campaign going forward, and I'll see you next time, fuckers.